What is up, everyone? Welcome back. I accidentally deleted the intro to this video, so I'm redoing it now. But I wanted to put out a little playoff prediction video, I guess, for 2026. I'll probably make another one of these before the season starts or maybe early on in the season. But I wanted to do one now and more through like the lens of the sports book rather than just like going through each team and saying who I think is going to make the playoffs and who I think isn't. So yeah, enjoy this video of me telling you which teams I think you should put your money on and which teams I think you shouldn't. All right, here it is. Geez, I look like a cartoon character with my hair right now. I also have not slept very much this weekend. I'm kind of going insane. My life is perfect. Anyway, so here's the book. I'm not gonna go through like the teams on the top too much, and I'm not really gonna go through the bottom feeders because I don't really think any of these teams have a chance of making it. Maybe the Blackhawks. Oh, maybe worth a stab. Anyone? Plus 1,400. Worth a stab. Maybe put a few bucks on it. No, I'm just kidding. The Blackhawks are not making the playoffs. That would be delusion. Let's see. Where do I want to start? I guess we'll start with the Eastern Conference. We'll start with the top up here. I really think that the landscape of the Eastern Conference is going to significantly shift this year a little bit. Mainly because Toronto with 108 points this past season, losing Mitch Marner. I know they've like added some depth. They're still going to be a playoff team, but I do not think they're going to rack up 108 points. I think losing Mitch Marner will have a negative effect on their performance during the regular season. So I think there's going to be some points lost there. And then more significantly, I would say and if you watched me at all on Chicago Hockey Radio last year, I was calling this Washington Capitals team a fraudulent team, literally since like, I think maybe the first month of the season. I was letting everybody know that this team had no chance of winning a Stanley Cup, even though like, I don't know, man. There's like this weird thing with people who cover the NHL that I think it's like a respect thing, which is like cool. But like if you watch like pundits on TV and even a lot of guys on like YouTube and stuff that are on like less, that are on like smaller platforms will still give like too much respect to like teams and players. They'll be like, oh no, the Washington Capitals, like Ovi's still got it. They've got a pretty good, they've got a solid top six, and Logan Thompson's really good, and Jacob Chikrin's been awesome, and like they really have a chance. Like it's like this weird thing where like people don't acknowledge how difficult it is to win the Stanley Cup, and it's like there's like always only like 4 or 5 teams that can actually win it. But people like say that there's like 9 or 10 teams that can win it. But I knew that this Washington Capitals team was not good enough to get past the second round. I put quite a large wager on the Carolina Hurricanes making the Eastern Conference Final this past year, which obviously paid off. That series was not particularly close. Look, I think the Washington Capitals rode the high of the Ovechkin goal chase. It was a fun year. It was a fun team to watch, but do I think that this team's going to be anywhere near 111 points this year? No, absolutely not. If you watch them in the playoffs, they were completely and utterly reliant on Dylan Strome creating everything for them offensively. I think the high of chasing the goal record is obviously over now that, Ovi is the new goal GOAT. I think this team is going to take a massive step back. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? Yeah, probably, but I think they're going to be closer to a wild card team than they are to a President's Trophy. I think they'll probably be in the 90 low 90 range as far as points goes. And so I think that's those two things happening alone, I think, is going to make a massive shift and cause a lot of movement here in the middle of these standings. So the first team I want to talk about is going to be the Columbus Blue Jackets. They are listed at plus 198 here. This is a team I honestly capped. I've pretty much been spending all my money that I've made over the past few months building this setup so I can do these YouTube videos for you guys. So please say thank you. You're welcome. But I've been wanting to place a large, which I'm going to do today after this video. I'll post a screenshot of my bet slip. I'm going to put I'll probably put like $100 on the Columbus Blue Jackets to make the playoffs. I was telling my buddies who are degenerate gamblers to bet on this team like a little over a month ago. Like I want to say they were like plus 310 a month ago. So I certainly lost some juice, but I'm still going to bet on them because I think plus 198 is great value. I really confidently believe this team is going to make the playoffs. I love this lineup. I love these big Russian fuckers. Chinnikov, Marchenko, Voronkov on the third line here. Kent Johnson was great this past year. Adam Fantilli took a massive, massive step, and I think he's going to take another one. That's the thing with this team is this is a pretty young team, and they took a really big step this past season, and I think they're going to continue to progress. If Sean Monahan can stay healthy, this team is built for playoff hockey, if we're being honest. Like, they're all massive. It's a young team. I really like a few of these guys. I think Kirill Marchenko might be one of the more underrated players in the entire National Hockey League. Voronkov can put the puck in the back of the net. Sillinger fumbled the bag with Tate McRae. And yeah, I think Fantilli is an absolute dog. And then defensively, they're a little suspect, but you have Zach Werenski playing 26 minutes a night. They still got Provorov. The defense is good enough. It's really about the offensive core here for me. And it is about them playing in the worst division in the entire National Hockey League, which is the Metro Division. The Pacific is down here yelling, hold my beer, but I do think the Metro is the worst division in hockey. And with the Capitals, as I just mentioned, taking what I think is going to be a big step back this year, there's going to be a lot more points to go around. I don't think that we're going to see 5 teams from the Atlantic make the playoffs again. I think it'll probably be 4-4. And so I think the Columbus Blue Jackets are going to make the playoffs. The only thing that really concerns me about the Columbus Blue Jackets is, it is this goaltender situation. I'm not a big Merzlikins guy. I don't think he's that great. This is really the only suspect thing for me for the Columbus Blue Jackets standpoint. I really think this is a playoff team. I think they're stacked offensively. I know there's some people that are really big into advanced analytics that will tell you that maybe they scored a few more goals this past season than they probably should have. But I think that all these guys, except for Sean Monahan being under the age of 25 years old, really favors them to take a big step this year. So, I love the Columbus Blue Jackets at 198. I think it's crazy. Can you imagine the fact that the Nashville Predators have better odds on the sports book than the Columbus Blue Jackets? The Nashville Predators play in the fucking most disgusting division in the entire sport. I mean, I've talked about it before, but the Central Division is an absolute gauntlet. Nashville was terrible this past year. Do I think they're going to be as bad as they were this past season? No, I think they're going to be better. But that's the thing is like so is pretty much every team in the Central. Like I think Utah is obviously going to be a lot better. I think that JJ Peterka trade was awesome. They have such a sick offense. That defense is sus as hell. Their goaltending situation is sus as hell. But I still think that they're going to be close to. All right, I need to. Okay, why am I doing Central talk? Focus. Can you guys tell me to focus? I like. Sometimes I just can't help myself. I bounce around. I have what's it called? ADHD. I just want to, The only other teams that I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna suggest you bet on. And by the way, none of this is like financial advice. Can you all be adults and not be like, oh, Lee told me that the Ottawa Senators were going to make the playoffs because they have a good bottom six, and now I'm broke, and I put my entire mortgage and my daughter's college savings on the Montreal Canadiens because Lee thought Ivan Demidov was going to have a good year. Can you guys be grown-ups and just take accountability and, tail my bets if you want to make money? But if I lose, I don't care. That's on you. Like you got to figure that out, man. Like I'm probably going to bet more money than I should on these picks. And so I don't really need to hear about your guys' losses if you tail me and we lose, which I don't even know why I'm doing this whole thing because I'm not going to lose. I don't lose. I am the betting GOAT. All right. So I do want to talk about these two here. I would not bet on the Leafs, the Lightning, or the Panthers just because of the odds I'm going to assume are not worth it. Yeah, I'm not taking the Leafs at minus 300. They're a little bit of a toss-up with the loss of Marner, but they're going to make the playoffs. Still not a good value at minus 300. And you can't even parlay these bets on FanDuel. I'm sure you can on other books, but I'm not betting on the Leafs. I'm obviously not betting on the Panthers at minus 950. And I'm not taking Tampa at minus 420. So that leaves you with the Ottawa Senators and the Montreal Canadiens. And I'm going to probably bet on both these teams to make the playoffs. I do like the Canadiens at plus 120. Maybe I should suggest one or the other. I do like Ottawa more than Montreal. I just feel like there's a couple things with Montreal that it's like a bit up in the air. They are young. I also don't like here. Let me go to their daily face-off. I don't like the fact that the Montreal Canadiens are a bit top-heavy. The bottom, I guess this is a pretty solid fourth line with Anderson, Evans, and Gallagher. Line A, hopefully we get to see a full season of him being healthy. I don't know if he's a bottom six player whatsoever, but hopefully he has a strong year because I kind of really do fuck with Patrick Laine, to be honest with you. I like the Bolduc pickup a lot. I don't know if he's going to play on the second line, but I like that for your middle six. Kirby Dach is the most injury-prone player in the entire world. Thank you, Montreal, for giving us Frank Nazar for Kirby Dach. That was a dub. Hopefully, I'm rooting for the kid, though. I hope he can stay healthy. I don't know if he's like a legit second line center, but that remains to be seen. One thing I will say about the Montreal Canadiens, and I just feel like I should spend a little time talking about this team just because their fan base is so insane on the internet, and so this is like good for engagement and clicks and stuff. Montreal Canadiens fans, you're never going to win anything with this. And what I mean by that, I'm not shitting on these players. You are never going to win anything with your three best players playing on the first line together, and that's what Montreal and Martin St. Louis has done. It's what we saw over the entire playoff run. You cannot have your three best players on the same line. You have to spread the wealth throughout the lineup. And so, I think they're a bit top heavy defensively. I mean, great pickup for Noah Dobson. I think this defense is going to probably score a lot of points. I like Caden Gooley's game. We all know what Lane Hudson's capable of. He needs to make improvements defensively. Mike Matheson finally is on the third pairing where he belongs. You still got Wi-Fi too for that bottom pairing. The Montreal Canadiens are good. They are good. I'm not the biggest fan of the goaltending situation. Maybe Jakub Dobeš can be an animal, still very unproven. I'm not a Sam Montembeault believer whatsoever. I think the only reason why anybody knows who he is because he plays on the Montreal Canadiens, and that's okay. Good for Sam Montembeault. He made Team Canada. As a USA fan, I would love for Sam Montembeault to be between the pipes facing my US of A at the Olympics this season. Look, it's more about the value here. I hope you guys are like understanding what I'm saying about like none of these teams here in the Atlantic, they're not worth betting on. The Leafs, the Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think the Ottawa Senators have a strong chance to make it, and I think the Canadiens do too. I wouldn't be surprised if the Canadiens don't make it, but I think they can, and I really like them at plus 120. Really quick, Ottawa Senators, I like this forward group a lot. Brady Tkachuk's one of my favorite players in the league. I like the Zetterlund pickup. I like Giroux being on the third line and not the first line. Their defense was solid enough during the playoffs. I like Shabbat on the second pairing now that Jake Sanderson is like fully a bona fide true number one defenseman in the NHL. Zub's all right. I think he has a bad contract, but he's fine. And I mean, if Linus Ullmark has a good year, I think the Ottawa Senators are in the playoffs. I think it's simple as that. Young team, big Pinto fan. Big Drake Batherson guy, another really underrated player. But yeah, Shane Pinto, my gambling brother, he'll love to hear that I am going to be picking them to make the playoffs on FanDuel. Minus 158 isn't great, but you got to embrace the juice, I guess. You got to just take that. All right, let's move down. I will say one more thing before I move out of the Eastern Conference. Boston, they're going to be absolutely atrocious. I don't care about the moves this summer. They've been a bunch of head scratchers. They sold at the deadline this past year. They were the worst team in the league after the deadline. I think they're going to be atrocious again. Buffalo Sabres, I'm actively preying on their downfall after the JJ Peterka trade, just because of all the nerds on Twitter that were like, oh no, actually Kesselring and Doan is actually a great return for JJ Peterka. No, it's not. That was a terrible move. That was your second best player on your team, and you traded him for a third or fourth defenseman and a bottom six forward. It was another shocking move by the front office of the Buffalo Sabres. They're going to be ass again. And then the Detroit Red Wings, I actually do think I had their daily face-off up here. I love their top six. I love Patrick Kane. I could be like every other NHL YouTuber and NHL pundit and tell you that Marco Kasper needs to take a big step this year and then they'll make the playoffs. I'm not going to do that. I don't think Marco Kasper's going to... People are acting like the entire city of Detroit is like completely reliant on Marco Kasper this year. It's insane the amount of pressure that I feel like is on this kid to like take a big step out of nowhere this year. I don't think he's going to take a big step. I don't think Detroit's going to make the playoffs, and I don't think it's going to be because of Marco Kasper. The defense is also pretty sus. Edvinson's fine. Obviously, Sider's a beast. Where is ASP? Where is Axel Sandin Pellikka? I have been hearing about this fucking kid since I was in high school. I feel like I was 16 years old hearing about Detroit's great prospect pool and how ASP is. I've been hearing about ASP since I was 12 years old, it feels like. Like, I feel like I came out of the womb hearing about how ASP is coming and Detroit is going to be amazing and the Iser plan and ASP. Where is this kid? I've been hearing about him for years. Maybe he'll make the lineup and take them to the playoffs. I'm just kidding. They're not going to make the playoffs. I wish they would, though. I love Patrick Kane. He's my favorite player of all time. He's probably only got a couple years left in him. I would love for the Red Wings to make the playoffs just so I can see 88 in the offs again. It's just not going to happen. And what are the odds? Plus 235. Yeah, not. I mean, that's juice, but that is not worth it. I don't think that team's making the playoffs. Sorry, the Yzer plan is failing. What is happening? I wish I could be as bad as my job as he is and get away with it. I'm just kidding. That's just to rile up some Detroit fans. I'm not really kidding. Maybe I am. I don't know. Keep going. Let's get out of the... okay. Rangers are going to not be good again. Shocker. Sorry. Like, they're just not. I guess you might think that Igor might give them a chance. I think that organization's such a mess, and all their best players are not getting any younger. I think they're going to struggle. I think the Islanders they got lucky with the draft this year. I think they're on an upward trajectory, but their current NHL players are all pretty old and not that great, and they just trade their best defenseman for draft capital. So, yeah, I don't think they have any chance. That's crazy that they have the same odds as... What is, like, people don't know puck, man. Is it just me? Am I the only one? The fact that the Islanders and the Blue Jackets have the same odds to make the playoffs is absolutely astounding to me. If you put money on the New York Islanders to make the playoffs this year, you need to call the hotline. You need to call this number. If you put money on the New York Islanders to make the Stanley Cup playoffs this year, give 1-800-GAMBLERS a call, all right? Just do me a favor. Pittsburgh, they're actively tanking. Kyle Dubas at the helm. Sid needs to get out, but they're tanking. They're going to be atrocious. The Philadelphia Flyers are going to be very bad yet again. That's also a team that is like kind of doing a rebuild. And I think that'll do it for the Eastern Conference. That's really what I needed to get off my chest. Now the West. The West is pretty simple. I honestly don't even know if I have to spend as much time talking about the West as I did the East, just because I would tell you to not bet on any team in the Central. I guess I'll start with, I think the Winnipeg Jets are going to take a massive step back. Don't be surprised if... I want to be the first to say this. I don't know if anybody else has said this. Don't be surprised if the Winnipeg Jets are like a wild card team. Like, I know they just won the President's Trophy, but don't be surprised if that's a wild card team. I'm not going to say that I think they're not going to make the playoffs, but I do think they are going to regress massively. We've seen this before. We saw it with the New York Rangers 2 years ago. A team that is completely and utterly reliant on goaltending and a red-hot power play, they never are able to do it season after season. Like, it always regresses, and they've been pretty good the past couple years. I think they're going to regress. I really do. I don't think you can just completely stand on a power play and a goaltender for multiple seasons in a row. It just doesn't work. So, yeah, do I think they're going to not be in the playoffs? No. But do I think they're going to be anywhere near a President's Trophy? No, I really don't, which stinks. I want them, another team, I want to see them in the playoffs because of my king, Jonathan Toews, making his return. But here's the problem with that team is, like, is Jonathan Toews really going to be your second-line center? Is Jonathan Toews, after taking a 2-year break, dealing with health issues, going to go to India and come back and be your second-line center? I'm going to press X to doubt on that one. I'm a little hesitant. Nemestikov was in their second-line center role. He's not a 2C whatsoever. I do not think that the Toews and Nyquist pickup are going to offset losing Nick Ehlers. I think Ehlers is going to be a massive loss for them. This is, just don't really have a lot of faith in teams that are completely and utterly reliant on like one line or a power play, because it's just hard to keep doing year after year. So yes, I think the Winnipeg Jets are going to take a big step back. I think Dallas and Colorado, I'm not going to spend any time really talking about them. They're both going to make the playoffs. They're both absolute wagons, and they're both minus 750. They're both going to be on revenge tours. They're both absolutely stacked. They're two of the big reasons why the Central is the best division in hockey, and I think they're going to stay in the playoffs, but I'm not going to suggest you or anyone you know bet on them to make the playoffs, because minus 750 is absolutely not worth it, because it's like, what happens if Nathan McKinnon breaks his fucking leg in the first week of the season, and then you have all this money tied up in a minus 750 futures bet. Don't bet futures that are minus 750 unless you're parlaying them with multiple other things. Even then, I would not. I don't think that the lemon is worth the squeeze, if that's the saying. Now, the team that I really, really do like in the Central that I want to talk about for a bit is the Minnesota Wild. I love them here at this spot at minus 144. This is going to be one of the teams I bet a sizable amount of money on. I think that they are they're listed at minus 144 because the Central is so strong, but also I think a little bit of it is based on them this season. I thought they were the most disrespected team heading into the playoffs. I said on Chicago Hockey Radio last year that I thought that Minnesota Wild Vegas Golden Knights series was going to go 7 games, even though people were picking the Knights to like sweep them. I think the Wild are absolutely nasty. They've got a good goaltender. I'm excited to see Zeev Buium, an entire year of him this year. And look, Joel Eriksson Ek and Kirill Kaprizov, their best player, missed a lot of games this season. Kirill Kaprizov missed like half the year. This team, when Kirill Kaprizov was healthy, was this was like a top 3 team in the league last year before Kaprizov got injured. He literally played half the season, 56 points in 41 games. I mean, that's a top 5 player in the league, probably, if we're being honest with you. I love Matt Boldy. I'm a huge Matt Boldy fan. I think that they are going to be better this season just because the odds are Kirill Kaprizov is not going to miss half the season. So just off the strength of that happening alone, I think the Minnesota Wild, they're going to rack up more points this year. And so, I really, really, really like the Minnesota Wild at minus 144. Now, other than that, I would not bet on any other team in the Central to make the playoffs. The Blues are, it's going to be a full year of Jim Montgomery. I think they are a really good team. I think Robert Thomas might be the most underrated player in the league. I think he's fantastic if he can stay healthy. I think they have a great shot of making the playoffs, but so do Utah. Utah is an absolute wagon offensively. Defensively, they're a little sus. And then something I got to say before I move on from the Central, the Predators at plus 186 is actually a terrible bet. I understand, I think they're going to be significantly better this season than they were last year, because last year that was just a catastrophe. I mean, you could point your finger in a lot of directions there in Nashville, but do I think they're going to, rack up 68 points? No, I think they're going to be better, but playoffs, yeah, right. Not in the Central. That team's not going from 68 points to the playoffs. That would be absolutely shocking. If you're betting Nashville Predators to make the playoffs at plus 186, do me a favor and call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, that's enough for the Central. The Pacific, I think I'm going to spend the least amount of time on just because I think it's quite obvious. I think it's 5 teams from the Central are going to make the playoffs. I think 3 teams from the Pacific are going to make the playoffs. I wouldn't even take a gamble on the Flames or the Canucks. I mean, you guys can, for all the Canucks and Flames fans out there, you can. I just wouldn't. I think Calgary is going to stagnate or maybe regress a little bit. The Canucks were an absolute nightmare this season, so it can't get much worse in Vancouver. But I don't think they've done enough to the forward group to make me think that they're gonna go from 90 points to 103 and make the playoffs. Evander Kane is, I guess, a fine move, fine pickup, contract year. But Quinn Hughes already has 1 foot out of the door, it feels like already. Elias Pettersson's supposed to be going on some miraculous revenge tour. I'm not going to hold my breath for that. Would I be shocked if Vancouver makes the playoffs? Absolutely not. Would I put my money on it? Absolutely not. And I feel the same way about the Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames actually do have a lot of talent, and they've got a lot of young talent. They're going to be an exciting team to watch over the next few years. I just don't think that they're going to overcome these three, and I really think that 5 teams from the Central are going to make the playoffs. So, as far as these teams that I think are going to make it, like, I'm not betting on LA at -300, and I'm certainly not taking the Oilers or the Golden Knights at -900 and -1200 respectively. So, the Anaheim Ducks. Now, if you're going for a long shot, I would take the Anaheim Ducks over any of these teams below them. I would take them over Detroit. I would take them over Philadelphia as well. If you want to roll the dice and get some really long odds and go for a plus several hundred, I would consider the Anaheim Ducks. I'm not going to do this. I'm telling you all right now, I'm not going to be betting on the Anaheim Ducks. But with their situation, like, they've got so many young players that are all, you assume, are going to take a step. I love Lacombe. I mean, they've got, I guess you can throw McTavish in there, but Carlson and Gauthier, you factor in the fact that Joel Quenneville's going to be the bench boss now. Does Joel Quenneville have it still? That's yet to be seen. I mean, you know, Terry and Ryan Strome are good, solid players as well. It's a complete roll of the dice. Like, if Joel Quenneville can somehow get all these youngins and these vets, it's such a weird thrown together team. You know, they bring in Chris Kreider. I don't really know what the vision is. Didn't they bring in Granlund too? Sorry, I'm tired. I haven't really slept much. Yeah, they brought in Mikael Granlund too. I don't really know what the vision is. You've got such a weird mix of veteran players and young talent. The goaltending situation is, I don't know. They finally traded John Gibson after talking about it for years. Lucas Dostal is actually a dog, but I don't know if they're going to just play him like 60 games this year and then give Mrazek the other 20, or what the plan is there. What I'm trying to say is this is a complete crapshoot. If you're going to roll the dice with a team that, like, would I be shocked if Anaheim somehow makes the playoffs? Honestly, not really. Their division's not good, and I wouldn't be surprised if somehow they have like a really good power play, and then their goaltending situation is good, and yeah, if I'm taking a long shot, I'm probably taking the Anaheim Ducks at plus 310, but I'm not actually doing that. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I feel like I've been rambling for a while. This might be a longer video, but I wanted to get some of these things off my chest. But yeah, just to wrap really quick, I'm the Wild and the Columbus Blue Jackets are the two teams that I'm actually putting serious money on. And then I think if you want to just play the numbers game, you should bet on Ottawa and Montreal, because one of them will make it. I'd say probably put a little bit more money on Ottawa, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe. I'll be back for another video tomorrow. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.